Hello, everyone, and welcome to Health and Happiness at Work. This podcast is for busy working adults trying to figure out how to better take care of themselves and others. My name is Katie, and I will be your host. We are here today because adulting is hard and because busy working adults spend more time at work than anywhere else. We're going to have real conversations about real life and, most importantly, swing into action on the biggest opportunities. We're going to talk about ways to layer health, fitness, and wellness directly into your workday so that you feel fantastic. I cannot wait to dive deeper into each of these topics related to health and happiness. You are not alone. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 8, Live Your Passion. So what is passion? Well, if we look at the textbook definition, it can be defined as a strong feeling or emotion. It can also be defined as a strong liking or desire. Quick note, when we talked about motivation, motivation is also a desire. All right, so we're going to come back to that. So why am I passionate about passion? Why are we here today? I'm going to lead with a story. Imagine that. Several months ago, when it was on my mind and on my heart to consider doing a podcast, I took the first step. I reached out to Gina, my producer, and said, this is what I'm thinking. Walk me through it. And by the end of that meeting, I had all these notes and all these ideas. And all weekend long, I was like beaming, like ear to ear, just thinking about the process and all the different ways it could play out. And to me, made the decision for me, right? I was so fired up. And I remember in my journaling that I do each morning, just really feeling high on life about this is where I'm headed next. This is my next project. And I do this a lot where I declare a passion project. And so I share this with you because I want you to be able to come along for the ride and kind of visualize what it was like for me in the discovery of that passion project. And we'll talk more about that quite a bit at length today. But I want that for everybody. I want everybody to have that experience of being so sure, so fired up. It doesn't mean that it's not uncomfortable or stretchy, as we like to say. I mean, the first couple of episodes, I looked at Gina and I was like, oh my gosh, what was that? Do I feel good about that? I don't know. That was like way harder than I thought it would be. So a passion project or something you're passionate about can still have some moments of challenge or stretch or discomfort, yet there's still that spark or desire or you want to do it, right? So you might need a little nudging or encouragement or a support person to really cheer you on, but that's really what I want to talk about today is how do we live and embody our passions and all the beautiful things that can unfold as a result of doing so. So I wanted to lead with that story. Again, this is all of my whys. I also wanted to share that at Wellness Collective, my business, which is my first baby, I have 2 biological babies, but my business baby, as I've grown and developed my business, I've gotten really clear on 4 values in my business, and passion is one of them. So I thought it was important to today's conversation to bring that up. And the core values at Wellness Collective are people. We put people first. We are all about people. We are people serving people. We are all about passion and showing the people that we work with and the people that we serve that we are passionate about what we do and that we are there for them. We are driven by purpose, knowing that what we're doing is meaningful work, and finally, impact, making a positive difference in people's lives and the community and workplaces all around the world. So people, passion, purpose, and impact are our driving values. And so naturally, I wanted to take a deeper dive on passion today and see how this might be supportive to busy working adults who are listening. So more thoughts on why passion is powerful. I meet a variety of people who I sense are longing for this. They want to feel inspired or motivated, and people will get really hung up on the motivation thing and really down on themselves and say, man, I'm just not motivated. I'm so meh. I just can't get going. And obviously, this can be for a variety of reasons. And I acknowledge that mental health challenges and mental illness is real, and I'm so grateful that we are talking about it more. I'm not suggesting that a passion project is going to be the be-all, end-all for all scenarios, but I do believe and feel strongly that a passion project and being connected to your passions is going to do amazing things for your motivation and your experience of life. As I've already shared, I consistently take on passion projects. And so I think you can hear even in my voice, when I smile, my voice changes. I've noticed that. I hope that comes through on the recording, that when I smile, my voice changes, because that makes for a really cool experience if that's true. And because I've seen so many amazing benefits by taking those leaps and choosing to move forward with passion projects, again, I just want other people to be able to have that experience as well. So it's coming from this place of wanting to make a difference and have impact. Additionally, if you look at the hierarchy of human needs, if you look at models of well-being, you will absolutely find things like personal accomplishment, personal achievement, and self-actualization as being common, basic needs for humans, for people. So again, if we are making time and space to lean into passion projects or prioritize passion and finding that for yourself in your work and in your life, it is going to support personal achievement, and self-actualization. So what is that? That's a big word, self-actualization. It's the realization or fulfillment of one's talents and potential. When I really like something, I say it twice. So here you go. Self-actualization is the realization or fulfillment of one's talents and potential. It feels good, right? It feels good to have accomplishments and achievements and to know you're maximizing your potential. And so naturally, when people feel proud about their achievements and their successes and maximizing their potential, it feels amazing, right? And so when something feels that good, we want more of it. That's why we go back for more ice cream, or we go back for more potato chips, or we go back for more shopping. You know, there's lots of things that also help us to feel good, but this is one of those healthy things that we can choose to do and prioritize to feel good and proud and satisfied. So where I'm headed with all of this is I believe strongly that leaning into your passions will absolutely support you with self-actualization. By leaning into your passions, you will be putting your talents and gifts and interests and creations out into the world for all to enjoy and benefit from. I thought it would be meaningful and relevant to talk about, what does passion in your life look like and feel like? Because if you are listening to this and you're feeling meh, or you're feeling disengaged with life, or you're unclear on what passion looks like for you or why any of this might be beneficial, I'd like you to be able to come along for the ride, like I said, and really see from my perspective what this can look and feel like in your body, at least my experience of it. I want to be careful how I say that. So for me, a passion-filled life looks like having clarity, being really clear on which tasks, activities, hobbies, talents, interests are my thing, are my jam. You know, knowing what you're into, noticing what you love learning about, what you love creating or producing. And this ties to that topic of flow. We talked about flow. And so I anticipate that, again, these activities or tasks that put you into flow, you might also be passionate about. There might be that overlap. I think passion looks like excitement. I think passion looks like enthusiasm. I know that passion looks like motivation. If you're showing up passionate wherever you hang out, I think people will say to you, man, you are so motivated. Look at you. I see you everywhere doing all of these things. It's amazing. And guess what? That does something incredible for your audience or for whomever you're spending time with. Your colleagues, your family members, your friends, they're going to see, man, you are showing up completely differently. I have here in my journal, when I journal about passion, I have here motivation embodied. It's inherent in your being and in your presence. And how cool and beautiful is that? And so I think that's what America needs more of. Is people passionate about what they're doing, right? And again, I want to be intentional to remind us to look at this from a professional lens and to look at it from a personal lens. What are you passionate about at work, in your workday, in your workplace? What are you passionate about in your home life, in your hobbies, in your leisure time? So what does passion feel like? As I'm thinking through this, you can see excitement in someone, but you can also feel the excitement in someone. So I think excitement gets to go into both buckets. So for me, passion feels like a spark that grows. I don't like the word festers. It's kind of an ew word. A spark, it's more than a smolder. It grows. It grows. It kind of builds. For me, it feels like something pulling at my heart. For me, it feels like a knowing in my gut, like I shared in my podcast story. For me, it feels like a pep in my step. So when people come to me and say, Katie, you have so much energy, it's not just the coffee. It's also, I love what I do. I do a lot of different things. Yes, I'm a small business owner. You know that. Yes, I'm a dancer. You know that. I'm also doing a million other things because they spark some type of passion in my heart and in my gut. And I know that that's where I want to hang out and spend my time, energy, and talents. So on that, I thought I'd tell you a little bit about my journey with feeling passionate and not feeling passionate. And maybe you can relate to some of this. So I'm going to take you back to my childhood. And I do this because I've been through some trainings and experiences with coaches and meditation teachers where we looked back at childhood because it is such a foundational, formational time in our lives in terms of human development. And so oftentimes by looking back, we're reminded of some beautiful things. Looking back can be hard too. I've seen a quote that says, don't look back. You're not going that way. So of course, we always want to look forward in terms of positivity and possibility. But I also find it helpful to look back in short increments for the learning or the joy and the good and the positive. So anyways, occasionally I'll think back to childhood about what was I passionate about as a little girl? And so I invite you to kind of walk this journey with me. I think that'll make this more interesting for you because I don't really just want to sit here and talk about myself. I want to more walk you through my experience of passion projects and again, invite you to do the same. So I think back to my childhood. I invite you to think back to your childhood. And I loved dancing. I have talked about dance a lot. I don't remember if I told you the full backstory, but during Star Search, do you remember that show? Have I talked about Star Search on here? I don't know that I have. This is a funny story. If I haven't told it, here you go. If I've told it twice, there you go. I used to just bounce around the living room dancing and improvising, even though I had zero dance training. And that's how my mom realized I had a passion for movement and dance. And so there came the dance lessons. But I was just bouncing around. I loved to move. I also loved to exercise. And I started doing these Mary Lou Retton workout videos at like age 7. She was my idol. And I would do aerobics for fun, probably because my dad exercised and modeled it as a healthy behavior to do. I look back to my childhood and I loved attention and being on stage. I loved performing, but I also just loved the attention from my siblings. I'm the baby of 5. And so being the baby, sometimes you get lots of attention. I loved it. I loved arts and crafts and making things. And so when I think back to those passions that I had as a 7 or 8-year-old, I'm still passionate about those things. So I think sometimes we can look back and recall the things that sparked joy or desire or things we loved that we've just, for whatever reason, abandoned and we don't do it anymore. I mean, maybe you loved a hula hoop as a kid. Maybe you loved to make model trains. I don't know. I'm making stuff up. But I anticipate there are things as a child that you were passionate about that could be opportunities as an adult, or maybe it's changed. So fast forward to middle school and high school, I was still dancing. I did discover I really enjoyed music and musical theater. So some similarities, but differences. It evolved a little bit. I got into college. I continued to dance, but I ended up having a really difficult experience with dance, and I almost abandoned it entirely. A couple of hard life lessons and honestly, not a lot of encouragement from some of my mentors, and it was a hard time. And as you can imagine, my sense of self and identity was very tied up into this idea of dance because I was so passionate about it that it was my everything. So I did start to feel a little lost, I would say, in college and early career because I went a different direction. And what am I doing now? I thought I was going to dance the rest of my life. What does the new plan look like? And obviously, I found other things to study and get excited about, but that was an interesting transition. I did become increasingly more interested in fitness. And so obviously, that's a big part of my life today, huge part of my life. But there was a clear, distinct period in my life where I think the passion was lower. I think I was busy, being a typical 20-something, typical college kid, typical young working professional. But then fast forward to age 26, that's when I started my first business. Technically, my first business is not Wellness Collective. It was something else. But I had that spark and I ran with it. And I, at that time, opened a boutique fitness, personal training, yoga, Pilates studio. It was a great experience. Had that for about 4 years. But that spark, that entrepreneurial itch, it was awesome. And as you can see, has spiraled and grown and changed and evolved. And man, fast forward to now, and I'm 41, and I can't even list all my passion projects right now. I'd have to get them organized to share them all with you. There's a lot I'm doing. I'm doing a lot philanthropically. I'm doing a lot creatively. I'm doing a lot entrepreneurially. So it's been a come and go thing, kind of getting clear on what I'm passionate about and what does it look like. But for whatever reason, where I am in life in this moment, I don't know if it's a maturity thing, if it's a Katie thing, but I feel like I've really found my stride with noticing what really sparks that passion and speaks to me. And rather than say to myself, I don't have time, I don't have energy, I don't have money, I don't, I sit with it. And if it's still there and I'm still thinking about it, that is resounding feedback to me that it's a huge opportunity for sustaining my spark and my joy and all the good that comes with it. And oftentimes these passion projects, they're not just self-serving, right? They fill and serve an amazing purpose in your own life, but I am 100% certain there will be some good for the community, locally, globally, world, because when you are motivation embodied, people are looking at that and observing it and saying, how do I get in on that? It's incredibly inspiring to other people. And I don't think we always remember that. It feels maybe selfish. But I assure you, if you're, again, making some time and intentional decisions around your passions, it will positively impact other people along the way, 100%. Let's talk a little bit about passion and work. This is interesting. You know, some people have a passion and they make it a career choice. I'm a perfect example of that. Most entrepreneurs are an example of that. They find something they're talented in doing, they're passionate about, they're knowledgeable, and they run with it and they choose to be self-employed and build a career around what they're passionate about. And I think other people have passions and they are layering them into their life, but it's potentially in that leisure time or that personal time. They've chosen that my career is my career, my passions are my passions, and they are different spaces, different choices. So if this is you and you're working maybe in an industry or a job or a space that you're not particularly passionate about, but maybe has some other benefit, maybe you really like who you work with, maybe you really like your compensation, maybe you really like where you live, I'm sure there's something advantageous about it, and that's why you choose to do it. But maybe you're not passionate about the industry or product or culture. I would encourage you to consider, how could I still spark some passion, even if it's not inherent in the work or the culture? Because again, there are always variables that we can control and influence. So you might not be passionate about selling auto parts. I'm making something up. But you're passionate about people and making sure that people have what they need and that their needs are being met. So if you're a real people person, you can lean into that passion. So I think there's lots of ways for us to look at passion and apply passion. And again, maybe it's inherent in your work because of choices you've made. Maybe it's not inherent in your work, but you can influence it over time to bring more passion and spark to whatever it is you're working on. And I think when you're at work and you are, again, completely embodying passion and it's kind of oozing out of you, either because you're enthusiastic in how you're talking about something or your body language or your eyes widen. People can sense when you're excited about something. I think when you show up at work that way, especially if you're in sales, people pick up on that and it does amazing things, right? So I wanted to share this because I like to look at feedback from my professional network and my personal network. And I'm not looking at this feedback as a need for approval. I'm looking at this feedback to just see what the patterns are. And oftentimes when I do that, I'll feel good about some of the patterns that are emerging. And so one of the patterns that has emerged for me over the years is my corporate clients will say to me and my team members, it is so apparent how passionate you are about what you do. And that's what we need for this project. We need people to be excited. We need a cheerleader. We need a leader. We need somebody to show up in this way for our employees. And we think that person could be you. And that is like, okay, thank you, universe. that does my heart, so good because that is my intention. I want people to pick up on the passion in my work. And my encouragement is when you show up that way and it's authentic and real, new opportunities will continue to present themselves. And it's pretty awesome. So what's next? Where should we go next when it comes to talking about passion and getting more pep in the step? I've really been thinking about this. I've been thinking about the passion that I feel in my body. I've been thinking about how good I feel after I work out. And I've said to some of my clients, I wish I could bottle this. Like the feeling that you have, that feeling of accomplishment, that feeling of excitement, that feeling of desire. How do you bottle that so that others can experience it as well? My invitation to you is to start noticing. Notice when you're having an experience where you're getting excited and your wheels start spinning. Notice when your eyes widen, when your face smiles, when you light up. Which things are igniting that for you? And just start to notice. I think we're, as a culture, busy being busy. And so in these episodes and again, inherent in our work at Wellness Collective, there's a heavy theme of mindfulness and just noticing your experience, not only in the present moment, but in your body. Noticing your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, noticing your bodily sensations. And all of this can inform decisions and choices you make about your personal and professional life. It's really, really powerful stuff just to continue noticing. I'd also encourage you to do that exercise I mentioned of looking back briefly, just to recall all the things that have historically sparked that passion or that excitement for you. For some people, it's creative. For some people, maybe it's performance or athletic related. For some people, it's creating or producing or traveling. There are lots of people passionate about traveling, passionate about cooking. I mean, this can look so many different ways. And again, for people who are feeling just so hung up and so stuck and so Groundhog Day, I really think this is a magic bullet. And I know magic bullets seem like they're not a thing, but I do see this as a potentially quick fix to exhibit what's called personal agency. This is your ability to choose and control and influence decisions in your own life. You can choose to take steps forward. I chose to email Gina and schedule a meeting. You can choose in this moment to take the first step for whatever it is that's been on your mind and on your heart. You know, you've potentially been thinking about starting something. What is it? Is it a group? Is it a nonprofit? Is it something related to hobbies? Is it something for the community? Is it something for your family? There are infinite things we can start and put into motion, and action breeds more action. This ties to some of the other things we've spoken about over the last however many episodes, 7? That's easy math. So there's so much we can do, but I acknowledge in this moment, you might not be totally clear about what that passion project could look like for you. And so I am working to map this out in such a way that you can, again, have this same experience that I'm describing. So with that, as we speak, a little behind the scenes knowledge, I am in the process of creating a program called the 30-Day Passion Project. And you may or may not know this about me, but I am writing programming every day, every week of the year for my corporate clients. And now this program will be for individuals and corporate clients. But the vision behind the 30-Day Passion Project is I want to support people. I want to support you in cultivating a passion project over the course of 30 days from conception to implementation. It doesn't mean the project will be complete, but I can assure you a project will be underway. And how fun and cool and exciting is that? And because I am a busy working adult, I am creating this in such a way that you will be successful and able to digest it with very simple yet effective activities once a day for 30 days. These are instructions for how to cultivate your passion project in about 20 minutes a day. So if you are interested in continuing this journey with me, it would be amazing. And it is something that could keep fueling the fire between this season and next. So I invite you to check out wellnesscollective.com, where you can learn more about the 30-Day Passion Project in our online store. And again, this is new. I typically write programming for employers, for corporate clients, but this is something I felt compelled and passionate about to put out into the world so that individuals would benefit in addition to workplaces. Because think about it, as an employer, who wouldn't want passionate employees? Because if people are focusing and leaning into passion projects in their off time, in their leisure time, somewhere in their life, that will absolutely show up and benefit at work. Because guess what? Passion is going to fuel joy. Joy fuels happiness. And it is all good. And we know that people carry emotions from home to work and from work home. So we got to be careful what vibe we're putting out and what vibe people are picking up. So let's support everyone in feeling more passionate, more productive, more pep in their step. Super excited to put this out into the world, and I invite you to check it out. So with that, I cannot believe we are complete for season 1. I was a little nervous out the gate. I feel much better now. I have complete joy and pride that we did it. Woo! Oh, man. Champagne. Where is it? It is Friday. I'll have to work that out later. But anyways, where I'm headed with this is I would love to come back for a season 2. But guess what? I'm learning as I go. I'm really interested in your feedback. I'm really interested in what would be most beneficial in a season 2. So it would be especially meaningful and helpful to me if I heard from you. A simple way to do that, again, is through the website, wellnesscollective.com. I am easily accessible at Katy, Katy, at wellnesscollective.com. And I joke that I'm self-employed, so the only way I get a review or I get feedback is if I really solicit it and ask for it. I don't get a mid-year review or end-of-year review, right? I have to really ask. And so anything you are willing to offer up, I am all ears. I really would like to continue this journey with you and see you for a season 2. So with that, make it an amazing rest of the year. Stay passionate, and I cannot wait to check back in with you soon. That's a wrap.